You're casually scrolling through your phone, sipping your coffee, while on the other side of the world, warships are mobilizing. Missiles are being prepped, satellites are monitoring, and the world edges closer to catastrophe. But if the unimaginable were to happen, which countries would disappear first? Which cities would become fireballs before the rest of the world even realized what was happening? Some nations are positioned directly on the front lines, while others are hosting foreign troops with targets painted on every base. If you live in one of these places, you're essentially living on borrowed time. This isn't science fiction, it's a terrifying mix of strategy, geography, and reality. Let's dive into the top 10 most likely first targets. Number 10. Poland. It would take minutes, not hours, for this nation to be engulfed in flames if a global conflict ignites. Poland may appear to be a quiet, Central European country, but it sits directly atop a geopolitical fault line. US and NATO forces are already entrenched here, with air bases on standby. But that military presence makes it an obvious early strike target. With a population exceeding 36 million and a GDP of $89 billion, Poland stands to lose everything, fast. It also borders Russia's Kaliningrad, one of Europe's most heavily militarized regions. You might think being part of an alliance offers protection, but in the event of a first strike, alliances can paint a bullseye. If World War III begins in Europe, Poland could be the first to burn, and that's a chilling thought. Number 9. Ukraine. Ukraine. You've heard the headlines, but they barely scratch the surface. This isn't just an active war zone, it's a potential epicenter for something far worse. Home to over 37 million people, many living mere miles from hostile forces, Ukraine is dangerously exposed. Its GDP, around $178 billion, isn't enormous, but its strategic location is invaluable and lethal. Wedged between powerful allies and enemies, Ukraine is riddled with tension. In the event of a total war, it would likely be one of the earliest targets, destroyed swiftly to block access to either side. Remember, the first nations to fall aren't necessarily weak, they're often crucial. And before we move on, be sure to subscribe. We're diving deep into the world's most volatile hotspots, and your support helps us bring light to the stories others leave in the dark. Number 8. Lithuania. Lithuania, a small nation, but in the context of global warfare, size isn't safety. In fact, it makes it more vulnerable. While it rarely dominates headlines, military strategists recognize Lithuania as one of the world's most dangerous flashpoints. Why? Because it controls a critical strip of land known as the Suwałki Gap, just 60 miles wide, which could collapse NATO's defensive structure in a heartbeat. Imagine a war starting in Europe. The first move wouldn't be tanks rolling into Paris, but a lightning strike here to sever the Baltic states from NATO. With 2.8 million people, they could be isolated almost instantly. This isn't just speculation, it's the conclusion of countless war simulations. Lithuania, with a GDP just under $88 billion, is economically modest but militarily fragile. It lacks deep defensive zones and fallback areas. If missiles are launched, they'll hit within minutes. What many forget is that Lithuania is both a NATO and EU member, meaning any attack would demand a response from nearly the entire Western alliance. One strike could unleash global chaos overnight. So why isn't the world paying more attention? Or maybe the real question is, who benefits from the silence? Number 7. Taiwan. Taiwan. Those headlines never change. Tensions rising, naval sightings, threats exchange. But beneath the surface lies a harsh truth. This island could disappear within the opening moments of a global war. Taiwan isn't just a speck off Asia's coast, it's the keystone of the Pacific. If a global confrontation erupts, Taiwan is almost guaranteed to be among the first hit. Why? Its position between two global powers makes it an unavoidable target. Its geography is strategic. Its technology is vital. And its collapse could trigger a domino effect felt across the planet. With a population of 23 million, Taiwan houses some of the world's most advanced microchip factories. Losing it wouldn't just mean losing a nation, it would shatter global supply chains. Your smartphone, your car, national defense systems, everything could come to a standstill. Taiwan's GDP is around $751 billion, and it far exceeds expectations for a nation its size. But that prosperity has a downside: it's a beacon, a bullseye. And here's what's truly disturbing. Despite decades of preparation, military analysts say that in the event of a surprise attack, Taiwan might not even get the chance to defend itself. A single miscalculation, a blip on radar, and this vibrant democracy could be wiped out in the first wave of World War III. Still with us? Then you understand just how fragile the global balance is. And before we go further, hit that subscribe button. We'll continue delivering deep dives into these overlooked but crucial stories, because what the world ignores may be what matters most. Number 6. South Korea. South Korea is one of the most advanced, fast-paced nations on Earth, but it's also living on borrowed time. Each day, more than 51 million people wake up in a country that could be leveled before nightfall. Sounds dramatic? Then you probably haven't studied the map recently. Just 35 miles north of Seoul lies one of the world's most fortified borders, lined with thousands of artillery units aimed straight at civilians. If war breaks out unexpectedly, experts estimate that over 10,000 shells could strike the capital within the first hour, before missiles even enter the picture. Economically, South Korea is no lightweight. Its GDP stands near $1.7 trillion, placing it among the top 15 economies globally. But all that prosperity sits dangerously close to enemy fire. Ports, factories, and power stations remain exposed, and those who plan to attack know exactly where to hit. And here's what most people forget: South Korea is technically still at war. The Korean War never officially ended, only paused by an armistice, not resolved by peace. If World War III ignites in East Asia, South Korea wouldn't just be involved, it would likely be crushed almost immediately. With American troops stationed throughout the region, any attack here would instantly draw the United States into the conflict. So the next time you admire K-pop or Korean innovation, remember this: one of the world's most high-tech societies also happens to sit on one of the most unstable front lines of modern warfare. Number 5. Japan. Japan, famous for cherry blossoms, bullet trains, and cutting-edge technology, is actually a prime target in any future global conflict. Surrounded by unpredictable neighbors, Japan sits between some of the Pacific's most militarized regions. While it hasn't seen large-scale war since the 1940s, it's now preparing for a scenario no one wants to imagine: a direct strike. With a population of over 125 million and a GDP exceeding $4.4 trillion, Japan is one of the most influential economies on Earth. But its success comes with risk. The nation hosts dozens of U.S. military bases, including critical airfields and naval ports. While this presence offers protection, it also paints Japan with a giant bullseye. If tensions boil over in the Pacific, enemies would likely rush to neutralize these bases. That means places like Okinawa, Yokosuka, and even Tokyo could be hit in the very first minutes of war. You might assume Japan's alliances and missile defense systems would be enough, but in a global war, reaction time is everything. And experts warn: Japan might not react fast enough to withstand a coordinated, multi-directional assault. This is a nation that once rebuilt from nuclear devastation. But next time, there may be no opportunity to rebuild at all. Before we continue, make sure you click that subscribe button. We're diving into the world's most volatile flashpoints, stories the mainstream media often avoids. Your support allows us to keep bringing you these eye-opening reports week after week. Number 4. Israel. Israel is one of the best defended nations in the world, and that's exactly why it could be one of the first to fall in a global war. This small strip of land has endured decades of attacks, wars, and missile threats. But World War III would be a completely different scenario. If the next major conflict begins in the Middle East, experts say Israel could be overwhelmed within minutes. Why? Because Israel isn't just a country, it's a pressure point. Surrounded by hostile states and militant groups, it's firmly in the crosshairs of rival coalitions. This constant threat has led Israel to build one of the world's most advanced defense systems, including the famed Iron Dome. Impressive? Yes. Invincible? No more than 9 million people live within this small area, smaller than the U.S. state of New Jersey. And despite its compact size, Israel's GDP is nearly $500 billion, making it a major economic and tech powerhouse. But even those advantages may not be enough. In total war, size and tech can delay destruction, but they can't stop it. A coordinated attack involving missiles, cyber warfare, and drone swarms could overwhelm even Israel's best defenses. In such a scenario, every second counts, and one small breach could lead to devastating consequences. You may assume that Israel's global alliances will guarantee its safety. But ironically, those very alliances may make it a bigger target. An attack on Israel sends a message, demands a response, and triggers worldwide attention. That's why, if World War III begins, Israel might not get a warning. It might be the spark, and the first to ignite the flame. Number 3. Germany. Germany is considered one of Europe's most stable powers, but beneath that stability lies vulnerability. Located at the center of NATO, Germany isn't just a member state, it's a command hub. And in a global war, command hubs are among the first to be targeted. Home to over 84 million people, Germany boasts a GDP exceeding $4.5 trillion. It's the backbone of the European economy. But that strength depends on fragile systems, energy imports, open trade routes, and digital infrastructure, all of which could collapse overnight. Now think about this. Germany hosts several major U.S. military installations, including Ramstein Air Base, which is vital for American operations across Europe and beyond. In the event of global conflict, that base becomes a top priority target. Taking it out would deal a serious blow to NATO. Though Germany has worked to modernize its military, it's still recovering from decades of underfunding. Many systems remain outdated, and while its troops are well trained, they aren't equipped for a large-scale, long-term war. If war erupts suddenly across Europe, Germany could be caught mid-preparation, disrupted, disabled, and devastated in the opening wave. So the next time someone says, Europe is too peaceful for war, ask them, what happens when peace becomes the most sought-after prize, and everyone tries to grab it at the same time? And before we proceed, don't forget to tap that subscribe button. We're uncovering the world's most dangerous flashpoints, ones that rarely make headlines but could reshape history. Your support helps us keep researching, investigating, and delivering these crucial breakdowns straight to you. Number 2. United Kingdom. Once the ruler of over a quarter of the globe, the United Kingdom now faces the possibility that its very survival could be determined in just a few short hours. You might think of it as distant, insulated by the sea and separated from mainland Europe's turmoil, but in modern warfare, oceans are meaningless. The UK is anything but safe. Let's break it down. Britain isn't merely a US ally, it's a forward operating hub. Its military bases, ports, and radar facilities are deeply integrated into NATO's global defense structure. That status makes it a strategic priority for any adversary. And if war breaks out, don't expect a delay. The first missiles would head straight for command centers like RAF Fylingdales and Crowton, both of which feed real-time intelligence directly to the United States. With over 67 million people and a gross domestic product nearing $3.3 trillion, the United Kingdom is a heavyweight in global finance, intelligence, and defense. But that prominence comes at a cost. It cannot be ignored in a global conflict. London alone hosts some of the most crucial financial infrastructure in the world, and any disruption to that network could trigger economic dominoes across continents. This isn't a hypothetical. British intelligence has already warned that cyberattacks would likely be the opening salvo in a full-scale global war. Here's where it gets even more unsettling. Despite its historic military power, the UK's armed forces have diminished considerably. The Royal Navy is a shadow of its former self, and while it's nuclear deterrent, the Trident system is still operational. It's largely concentrated in Scotland. A single precision strike could render it useless. Let that sink in. 1 point of failure. In World War III, no one is fighting drawn-out campaigns. They'll hit fast, hard, and without warning. And the United Kingdom is front and center on that strike map. Its alliance with the US guarantees protection, but it also ensures the UK will be on the front lines. The next war won't care about historic castles, royal traditions, or quiet countryside villages. It will be about intelligence, logistics, and raw strategic value, and that puts the United Kingdom squarely in the crosshairs. If air raid sirens echo through the English skies again, you won't have days to react, only seconds. Number 1. Italy. Italy, famous for its cuisine, its fashion, and its ancient ruins. But if the drums of global war begin to beat, none of that will matter. Most don't place Italy high on the list of vulnerable nations, and that's precisely why it's so dangerously overlooked. While the world watches hotspots in Asia and Eastern Europe, Italy could be the first to slip through the cracks. Here's what people forget. Italy houses some of the largest U.S. military installations in Europe. Bases like Aviano Air Base and Naval Support Activity Naples are pivotal staging grounds for operations across the Mediterranean and beyond. That makes them critical assets and prime targets. If a world war erupts, those bases would be among the first to face strikes. Italy has a population exceeding 58 million and a gross domestic product close to $2 trillion. It's a central pillar of European strength, but its defense posture tells a different story. Chronic underfunding, outdated equipment, and political divisions over military strategy have created a perilous vulnerability. Now picture this. A sudden war ignites in Eastern Europe. Missiles sweep across the continent. NATO begins mobilizing. Italy isn't sitting on the sidelines. It becomes a key launchpad for Allied operations. But with that role comes massive risk. It becomes a bullseye for tactical missile attacks, cyber warfare, and maritime blockades across the Mediterranean. And there's another grim reality: Italy's immense and exposed coastline. Spanning over 7,000 kilometers, it's nearly impossible to secure. That makes Italy a soft entry point for amphibious landings, naval assaults, and drone incursions. From an economic standpoint, the threat is equally grave. Italy's economy is already under pressure from debt and reliance on imported energy and industrial parts. Even a short disruption could plunge the nation into chaos. One targeted strike on ports like Genoa or Trieste could halt trade and trigger a financial nosedive. And remember, Italy is a founding member of NATO. That does mean collective defense, but it also makes Italy an automatic target if tensions explode. Rome may still carry the echoes of an ancient empire, but in a modern war, history doesn't shield you, only preparedness does. And Italy may not be prepared enough. What you've just read isn't fantasy. It's a chilling reflection of today's strategic landscape. Some of the world's most advanced nations could be reduced to rubble within minutes if a global war breaks out. And the most terrifying part? It won't come with a countdown. Missiles won't knock. Cyber attacks won't pause. And when alliances turn into battle lines, the map of the modern world could change forever. If this breakdown shook you, don't scroll past. Hit that subscribe button now. We're revealing more danger zones, more untold stories, and more high-risk flashpoints every week. Share this video with someone you care about. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Which country do you think would fall first? Because in a world this unstable, awareness isn't optional, it's survival. Stay alert, stay sharp. And we'll see you in the next one.